St. Patrick and the Seven Snakes. In the year 400, in the country of Ireland, there lived a young priest named Patrick who dedicated himself to preach Christianity. In this same country, there were 7 leading snakes that represented the deadly sins. Patrick fought against these terrible sins by proposing to eradicate them from the population, but these snakes refused and began to develop a plan to harm him.
Being in the Carantunji mountain where Patricio was, the first snake called Luz arrives, becoming the most beautiful woman. The aim of this was to make Patrick sin by thinking or looking at her. But he rejects her many times, and the snake decides to leave.
After 5 minutes, the snakes realized that Patricio was very hungry and thirsty, so they decided to send the fearful Gula. The Gula manifests itself at the best feast, and if Patrick took any food, he was immediately banished from Ireland. But since he didn't, the snake withdrew again.
The third arrived called Avarice. She became a briefcase full of money, but Patrick didn't give her a glance, so the snake decided to leave. Then the powerful sovereignty appears, presenting as an executive woman, and using her cunning she decides to start a conversation with Patrick to bring him down, but he decides to pray not to listen to her.
Time after pass, and the fifth called Envidia arrives without hope. This one doesn't know what to become, so in the midst of anguish he decides to take the form of man. The latter starts showing him all this wealth, parties and women that he had in his youth, but Patricio was only laughing when he heard. Observing his reaction, the snake decided to leave.
The sixth arrived representing Slow, who has enough power and money. He proposed Patrick comfort and stability in exchange for leaving the island and leaving him in charge of the well-being of this place. However, Patrick rejects him. With the last snake in play, the Ira, which had all the characteristics of the previous snake, presented itself to Patrick as his mother. The Ira began to remind him of the entire childhood and also helped him reflect on the injustice that he hated the most. There they made him doubt a little, since what they proposed was that if he let them take over the town, they would end the injustice, and although it cost him a lot, he rejected it.
As the snakes watched their defeat, they decided to play the last card. They returned to their original form and decided to be him while he sleeps to finish him off. One of them manages to do it, but he still receives deep. In this way, observing the power of the Patricio over them, they decided to leave the town and go to sit in fear and anger at having been defeated.